Imagine a case that has been officially closed by the police.
Right. Signed off by medical examiners and just filed away.
Yeah, neatly filed away in the archives. Yet, almost a decade later,
It still trends on social media.
every September, like clockwork, you've
Ugh.
probably seen the documentaries or, the exploding comment sections.
The massive community that just flat out refuses to accept the official answer.
Exactly. And it's a phenomenon that forces you to look at how we consume information.
And who we actually trust to give it to us.
Mm-hmm.
Because when a case ends in a police station, but it never really ends in
The collective consciousness of the public.
Right. You have to look deeper into that disconnect.
Which is why today we're not just here to recount what happened in that Chicago area hotel back in 2017. Kenneka Jenkins, who was 19 years old, she leaves her home on the west side of Chicago at around 11:30 p.m.
And her destination is a party in room 926 at the Crowne Plaza Chicago O'Hare Hotel in Rosemont.
Right. And we really need to establish the context of that party based on the police reports.
Yeah, this wasn't just a few friends gathering for a quiet night.
No.
According to the Rosemont Public Safety Department, the hotel room was actually booked using a fraudulent credit card.
And it was linked to a local gang.
Furthermore, while that specific room was designed to hold, maybe 4 people.
Witnesses indicated there were upwards of 30 to 36 people packed inside.
It sounds incredibly chaotic.
Very. The notes here mention that the hotel actually received a noise complaint regarding a room.
But they essentially did nothing to shut the party down.
All right. So as the night progresses, witnesses report seeing Kenneka drinking cognac.
And her friends note she didn't seem quite like her usual self.
And then the security camera footage gives us these incredibly precise, really chilling timestamps of her final movements.
Looking at the police log, at 3:25 a.m. on Saturday, CCTV captures Kenneka exiting a lower-level elevator.
She's highly intoxicated.
She's stumbling, she's running into walls, and she just looks completely disoriented.
From there, the footage tracks her wandering up a set of stairs and down various hallways.
And at 3:42 a.m., she is seen on camera for the very last time.
She's moving into a vacant, unused first-floor kitchen area.
An area that was currently under renovation.
Yeah, and after she enters that area, she just vanishes from the camera's view.
Reading that part of the report is just brutal.
It really is. Because as a reader, you know she's in there.
But in reality, it wasn't until almost 21 hours later,
Right at 12:25 a.m. on Sunday,
that a hotel employee finally discovers her,
she is found dead inside a walk-in freezer.
which was situated inside an even larger walk-in cooler.
Now, if the kitchen was unused, you have to ask, why was the freezer even on?
Well, the reports indicate it was actively being leased out for extra storage to a new restaurant that was opening inside the hotel.
And the temperature inside that unit was lethal.
Very. When investigators tested the freezer later, after leaving the doors open for 2 hours, it was 34 degrees.
But when they retraced her steps with the door closed...
It dropped to 10 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow!
So based on the environment and her condition, the official Cook County Medical Examiner's findings ruled the death an accidental case of hypothermia.
But the autopsy from CBS News gives us much more detail, right?
It does.
Because the immediate question everyone asked online was how a 19-year-old could just wander into a freezing industrial unit and die without a massive struggle.
Or without trying to get out.
Exactly.
And that is where the toxicology report becomes absolutely vital for understanding the medical examiner's conclusion.
Right, so Kenneka's blood alcohol concentration was 0.112.
Which is over the 0.08 legal driving limit.
But crucially, the autopsy revealed she also had a medication called topiramate in her system.
And her family was adamant that she was not prescribed this drug.
Topiramate is typically used to treat epilepsy and prevent severe migraines.
Though it is sometimes used off-label for weight loss or muscle spasms.
So what happens when you mix a central nervous system depressant, like alcohol, with an unprescribed epilepsy medication?
You get a highly dangerous synergistic effect.
Meaning they amplify each other.
Yes, the combination severely amplifies the side effects of both substances.
It causes profound dizziness, impaired memory,
Drastic loss of physical coordination, confusion, and deeply impaired judgment.
Essentially, her central nervous system was heavily depressed.
Which answers a major physical question about the freezer door itself.
Precisely, because the freezer door did have a circular release mechanism on the inside.
Under normal circumstances, a person could simply push it and walk out.
But when you factor in the synergistic effect of the topiramate and alcohol,
Combined with the rapid onset of extreme cold in a pitch-black room.
a person loses the cognitive awareness and fine motor skills required to locate and operate that mechanism.
Furthermore, the medical examiners found absolutely zero evidence of foul play.
No internal or external trauma.
No signs of sexual assault, and no defensive wounds.
The only physical mark was a small cut on her foot.
Which perfectly aligned with the fact that she was found missing one shoe.
On paper, the clinical facts paint a picture of a straightforward, albeit incredibly tragic, accident.
They do.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Because the reality on the ground and the way the hotel and police handled the situation created a massive void of information.
And when official channels create a void, the public rushes in to fill it.
Let's look at the exact failures that caused public doubt to absolutely skyrocket.
The physical environment of the hotel was incredibly ripe for questions.
Yeah, while the freezer had that internal release mechanism, there was no padlock on the outside.
People immediately asked why an unused, highly dangerous piece of industrial equipment wasn't secured in a vacant kitchen.
On top of that, the kitchen did have a motion-activated camera.
But investigators found it hadn't turned on for weeks.
Even worse, its physical angle didn't cover the actual door to the freezer.
So the one piece of undeniable objective proof the public demanded.
A continuous video of Kenneka physically opening that heavy door and walking in alone.
It simply didn't exist.
And then there's the timeline of the response, which is just agonizing.
You really have to put yourself in the shoes of Kenneka's mother, Teresa Martin.
The sources detail how her daughter's friends call her in the middle of the night, saying they can't find Kenneka.
Teresa rushes to the hotel, arriving at 5:30 in the morning.
She is desperate. She begs the hotel staff to let her see the security footage.
Or at least have their own internal security team review it.
And they turn her away.
They tell a frantic mother that they cannot do anything without an official police report.
That administrative roadblock initiates a devastating delay.
Teresa calls 911 at 7:15 a.m. to officially report her daughter missing.
And the response from the dispatcher, according to the audio we have, is highly dismissive.
The dispatcher explicitly tells the mother to relax.
Suggests that the friends might just be lying.
And theorizes that Kenneka is probably just passed out drunk in a random hotel room.
Imagine hearing the word relax when your absolute deepest gut instinct is screaming that your child is in mortal danger.
Because of these bureaucratic hurdles and dismissive attitudes, an official missing person report wasn't filed until 12:46 p.m.
That is over 7 hours after Teresa arrived at the hotel demanding help.
Kenneka wasn't found until nearly a full day had passed.
Could she have been saved if hotel security had just looked at the cameras at 5:30 a.m.?
That is the haunting question that underscores this entire narrative.
That delay is exactly what catalyzed the massive sociological reaction.
Right. When authorities go silent, or when their initial responses lack urgency and empathy, the public doesn't just sit around and wait for a press conference.
They investigate. In Kenneka's case, social media became a decentralized detective agency.
People took the disjointed pieces of surveillance footage the police eventually released, slowed them down frame by frame, and began mapping out the hotel themselves.
The YouTube documentary from Uncrimely really highlights how wild and yet how systematic these internet theories became.
People weren't just gossiping, they were conducting their own digital investigations.
Some heavily theorized that her friends set her up to be assaulted in exchange for money.
Others believed the hotel was actively covering up a murder to avoid the catastrophic bad publicity of a gang-linked illegal party happening under their roof.
People analyzed shadows and reflections in the footage.
Convinced the video was doctored to erase someone following her down the hallway.
And the brilliant point the Uncrimely documentary makes is that whether those internet theories were factually right or wrong almost didn't matter.
They served a distinct purpose. They filled the void.
The internet didn't create the doubt out of thin air. It gave the existing valid doubt a massive megaphone.
The documentary summarizes this perfectly by stating that accident is just a word.
It's a clinical categorization.
It's not an explanation that carries the emotional weight of a mother's loss.
Being explained to by a medical examiner is a very different experience than being understood by the authorities.
The clinical facts of the autopsy didn't answer the human questions.
Why was she ignored? Why was the freezer unlocked? Why did the system fail a young woman at so many different points?
Those human questions really bring us to the cultural impact of this tragedy, which is far bigger than just one hotel in Rosemont.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, We have to look at the historical and cultural context that framed the public's intense reaction.
We have an excellent source from the Tribe detailing an MTV true life crime documentary hosted by Chicago journalist Demeti Pongo.
And as a reminder, we are bringing you these perspectives directly from the source material to help you fully grasp the cultural conversation surrounding this event.
Right, we aren't endorsing specific political viewpoints, but impartially reporting on the very real sentiments detailed in this journalism.
Which brings up a vital point from the MTV documentary.
The Tribe article frames Kenneka's case not just as an isolated incident of hotel negligence,
But as a potent symbol of historical distrust between Black communities and law enforcement.
there is a powerful quote from the source material that really captures the essence of the public outcry.
Historical distrust isn't paranoia, it's pattern recognition.
That is a profound statement.
It highlights a reality where specific communities have learned, through lived experience and historical precedent, not to take official explanations from authorities at face value.
Demeti Pongo's journalism discusses how mainstream media rarely covers missing Black girls with nuance or urgency.
Unless there is some bizarre viral hook or internet hoax attached to it.
Kenneka's case did become viral, but only because the public forced it to.
It highlighted a glaring systemic disparity in how quickly and thoroughly these disappearances are treated by the people in charge.
And a recurring theme across all our sources is how the voices of Black women were repeatedly ignored throughout that night and the following morning.
When Kenneka's friend Bray actively asked hotel security for help finding her, the sources say she was brushed off.
When Teresa Martin begged for them to check the cameras, she was turned away due to hotel policy.
When she called 911, she was told to relax.
The system fundamentally failed to listen to the people who knew Kenneka best.
And that systemic failure widened what we can call the trust gap.
How does a community find closure when the medical facts of an investigation point to a tragic accident, but the handling of the investigation points to glaring negligence and dismissal?
For many watching this case unfold online, the official conclusion felt incredibly rushed.
It felt like the authorities decided it was an accident before all the systemic failures of the hotel were accounted for.
Kenneka's case tapped into the pain of every family that ever had to fight just to be taken seriously by the institutions sworn to protect them.
So, what does this all mean for how the case actually concluded legally?
Because despite the internet's insistence on a cover-up, the authorities did eventually provide a massive amount of technical data to back up their ruling.
They absolutely did. The Rosemont Public Safety Department conducted a highly extensive investigation before officially closing the case.
To address the internet's theories about camera angles, investigators utilized high-tech Afero 3D imaging.
Which, for those who haven't heard of it, is essentially a high-end laser scanner.
Think of it as creating a millimeter-perfect digital twin of the entire kitchen.
Exactly. They used that digital twin to mathematically prove the sightlines of the cameras,
Demonstrating definitively that the camera in the hallway could not physically see the freezer door.
They also reviewed footage from all 47 cameras in the hotel.
They conducted 44 formal interviews, 30 of which were with people verified to have been in that specific hotel room.
They tracked down the fraudulent credit card to the local gang.
They poured massive municipal resources into this.
And they stood firmly by the Cook County Medical Examiner's conclusion.
It was a tragic accidental death caused by hypothermia, exacerbated by the synergistic effects of alcohol and dopamine.
But for Kenneka's family, accidental did not mean unpreventable.
No. In 2018, the family filed a $50 million wrongful death lawsuit against the Crowne Plaza Hotel, the security firm, and the restaurant leasing the freezer space.
And we should briefly explain what a wrongful death lawsuit does in a case like this.
When the criminal justice system finds no evidence of murder or foul play, nobody goes to jail.
But the civil justice system exists to determine if negligence played a role in a death.
The core of the family's lawsuit was pure negligence.
They argued that the hotel failed to secure a dangerous, freezing environment.
They argue the hotel staff was severely negligent for allowing a wildly overcapacity party
A party booked with a stolen card, no less.
to continue despite noise complaints.
And most importantly, they cited the hotel's refusal to simply review the security tapes when a mother was standing in their lobby begging for help.
This intense legal battle went on for years, grinding through the courts until it finally reached a resolution in late 2023.
The family was awarded a $10 million settlement.
Our sources break down exactly how that money was distributed and it provides a stark look at the reality of civil litigation.
Roughly $3.5 million went immediately to cover the attorney's fees.
Just over $6,000 went to reimburse Kenneka's funeral costs.
The remaining $6.4 million was split among the family.
Kenneka's mother, Teresa Martin, received roughly $3.7 million.
While two other relatives received $1.5 million and $1.2 million, respectively.
It is a massive settlement.
Yeah.
But we have to reflect on what a settlement of that magnitude actually achieves.
A financial payout offers a form of legal accountability.
It is the civil justice system's way of acknowledging that profound mistakes are made, that corporate negligence occurred.
And that a young life was lost as a direct result of those failures.
But money doesn't rewrite history.
It rarely provides total emotional closure for a grieving mother, or for a community that watched a system fail at multiple critical points.
The multi-million-dollar check clears, but the fracture in public trust remains completely unhealed.
Which brings us back to you, the listener. Think about your own reactions when you hear an official narrative about a tragedy on the evening news.
When the police chief steps up to the podium and lists the clinical facts and the autopsy results, do you just accept them and move on?
Or do you instinctively look for the accountability behind those facts?
This case is a stark reminder that public trust in our institutions is incredibly fragile.
It is something that has to be actively earned and constantly maintained with empathy and transparency.
When a young life is lost, simply saying, "because we said so," is never going to be enough.
And it leaves us with a lingering, provocative thought about the modern world we navigate every day.
We exist in an era of absolutely unprecedented surveillance.
There are high-definition cameras in our pockets, on our doorbells, in our cars, in hotel hallways, and in kitchens.
We operate under the collective assumption that all this video creates an undeniable, objective truth.
But as the tragic story of Kenneka Jenkins proves, why does more surveillance sometimes seem to create a reality where seeing is no longer believing?
Why is it that in a modern building equipped with 47 different cameras, a single missing camera angle can completely shatter our shared sense of reality?
Leaving a void of trust that a decade of official reports still cannot fill. It's definitely something to think about the next time you look up and see a lens pointing back at you.